Welcome everyone, this is Sam and Ryubix and we are back for another episode about international football and the recent results, dramas and events. For today's episode, we will talk about the match days 9 and 10 of the Euro 2024 qualifiers, which is the end of the groups, followed by the new episode of the World Cup qualifying campaign in Asia with the start of round 2, Africa, which started the groups, the continuation of the South American League, and to conclude, we will talk a little about the CONCACAF Nations League. So, before starting with the subjects, Sam, how are you today?
I'm doing all right. I'm doing all right. How about you?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great, and I'm happy to record with you once again.
Yeah, it's been too long.
It's been too long, I agree. So, as I said, we will start with UEFA and the end of the Euro qualifiers. So, Sam, please start with Group A.
Not much to talk about really. Spain topped the group. Scotland got second. Norway lose out once again. Georgia has the chance to make it via the Nations League, and Cyprus is Cyprus. Yeah. The big shock, if you want to call it that, would be Norway not advancing, but I don't see that much of a shock. More of a just a disappointment for that nation.
Yeah, the disappointment is about Erling Haaland, isn't it?
Um, I guess a little bit. Um, but I would say that like he doesn't have too many good players behind him as far as like assisting him with his goal scoring. So he can only do as much as he's given, right?
Yeah, that's kind of my opinion as well. And that's probably why it feels like an upset that such a player, considered to be one of the greatest right now, isn't able to play an international tournament with his country outside of the Nations League.
Right.
But well, to talk about how he fails and why it is such a bad thing for him, we'll have to do like a video about that. And sadly, we haven't got the time. We don't have the time to talk deeply about that problem. So I will continue with Group B, which is a country where my country, France, nearly did a Grand Chelem. And sadly, it's not this time around that we were able to do that, with 7 wins and a draw during the last match day against Greece, a 2-2 game away. But on the bright side, we got and we make the new record of the largest win ever in the Euro qualifying stage, which is a clear 14-0 against Gibraltar in Nice Stadium, Allianz Arena. No, Allianz Riviera, my bad. I was confused with the Allianz Stadium. This new 14-0 record did not only give Mbappe a 300th goal in all of his career, but it also broke Germany 13, San Marino 0 last record, which date only a few years back. So it's a good point for my country, which with that confirms its place top of Group B, second in the FIFA ranking, and of course spot A for the upcoming group stage for draw for the Euro. In second, we have the Netherlands, which were the second favorites to qualify, so nothing much to say here. Greece, that managed to get a few points from us, congratulations to them, by the way, are still not able to qualify, but got a second chance to qualify thanks to the Nations League playoffs. Ireland, of course, are still in a bad shape and are fourth, and Gibraltar having, I do believe, their worst record of all time in Euro qualifiers, close the tail with the fifth place and no goal
It, it's
scored.
definitely it's definitely the worst of this Euros for sure. Like they did worse than San Marino even.
Yeah, you must do very good to be able to be worse than San Marino in qualifiers, especially when you only play 8 games.
Yeah.
I think it's your turn.
Okay. Um. So England and Italy qualified directly. England almost got a perfect record as well, with one more draw than France did. So that'd be two total. Um. Italy almost got third place again. They ended up getting second based on head-to-head points against Ukraine rather than goal differential. But goal differential too, it looks like. Ukraine has a chance still to make it via the playoffs. North Macedonia could not. Italy and North Macedonia has been a rivalry the last few years, and North Macedonia couldn't get it done against Italy at all this time, which is sad, but also fair. And then Malta is just Malta.
Yeah, you're right. Especially when you see that Italy got very unlucky in the last few qualifying campaigns, especially for the World Cup. And when you see England, one of the best teams in Europe, Ukraine and North Macedonia that casted their shadows on Italy recently, you will think that Italy will get once again a bad time despite being European champions. But
Well,
yes,
yeah, sorry. Yeah, but also the fact that Italy didn't could not beat England at all, and yet England drew with both Ukraine and North Macedonia at one point.
oh yeah, you're totally right. So yeah, Italy was clearly some doomed at some point at the start, but I think they managed to finally broke the curse, and now will be able to be more consistent in qualifiers. At least I hope so for them.
In the qualifiers or in the actual Euro?
I mean overall, because
Oh,
it's very weird that they are able to win the Euro but miss the World Cup before and after this tournament.
yeah.
So
All right.
now they should be able to be more consistent, I guess.
And I think it's time to go to Group D.
Of course, I will do. Group D is probably more open that we have seen in groups A to C, with Turkey and Croatia getting the two tickets for Euro. Croatia, of course, is not a surprise as they are one of the most consistent teams in recent years, advancing and doing great things in both the Euro and the World Cup. Turkey is more of a surprise considering they top the group, but not that they managed to qualify, considering their squad is getting more youth and more talents developing over time. So maybe that this time around they will be able to go further than just the group stage. Wales, on the other hand, was kind of a challenger at first, but fell short of the stick and can only take a chance with the playoffs if they want to grasp another Euro qualification. Armenia and Latvia were not favorites to start, and without surprise, they conclude the group by being the fourth and fifth place, respectively.
Turkey is a very confusing team for me because every time they have people like cheering them on and stuff, they just don't do well. And then whenever people kind of ignore them, they do really well. It's not that they don't have the talent. It's almost like they can't take the pressure of being a good team.
I do agree with you. They have the talent, they have the potential to go far, but when they reach a big tournament, they always fail big in recent years. But in qualifiers, they thrive. They thrive. They were even able to grasp 4 points against the at the time world champions France, like a few years back. So yeah, I do agree
Right,
with you.
right. But what I'm saying is that like they do really well, and then people get behind them for doing so well, and then they start failing again. So like when they drew with France, everybody started seeing them and actually watching, paying attention to them, and then they started doing not so great after
Yeah, so they can't support too much attention or pressure. Then that's what you meant, but maybe
that. Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so let's continue with Group E and F.
The biggest surprise of Group E is Albania topping the group. Same points as the Czech Republic. They won in the head-to-head. And then Poland being not being able to qualify directly, but having to go through the Nations League playoffs. Um, and then Moldova had a good shot as well. They almost made it despite having the Czech Republic and Poland in there, and then the Faroe Islands were just kind of just hanging out.
Yeah, I agree with you. Poland being third, and it's probably the biggest shock in that group that Poland that made the World Cup, the Euros sometimes, multiple times recently, and with such experienced players, wasn't able to grasp a top two spot in a five teams group. But at least they got a chance to redeem themselves with the playoffs, as you mentioned. But Albania is less of a surprise because usually when you have a group with full of Eastern Europe teams, it's usually very competitive. So, based on my experience with Euro qualifiers, I'm half surprised. Albania is totally able to go head to head with other Eastern Europe countries.
Oh, for sure. I was just surprised that they topped the group, not necessarily that they
Oh,
couldn't make it
oh
via the
yes, no,
playoffs or yeah.
yeah, yeah, you're right. On paper, Czech Republic should be able to be a little better than Albania, and yet, as you
As
said, they lost on head to head.
as says Poland, you would expect Poland to be better than Albania too.
Yeah, yeah, I expected Poland, if they were to fail, like to lose by 1 point, not four, which is more than one win.
Especially with the Lewandowski, right?
Especially, yeah, yeah, when you have multiple players of experience, you are not supposed to miss out in such a group, and yet they did. But they are not eliminated yet, so I guess they can still have a chance to redemption. For Group F, Belgium keeping some of their golden generation are still able to thrive in qualifiers and obviously top their group, but not without a little competition with Australia. Austria getting a very good campaign for such a country with poor results recently. They only got second but 1 point. So the first place was there, but sadly not enough for Australia to be in pot one. Sweden, one of the maybe the good nations of the recent years that you do not expect to be good internationally, got a very bad campaign compared to what we see usually from them, and they missed out not by a few but by 9 points, and that is maybe one of the biggest misses that we will have for the upcoming Euro tournament. Azerbaijan and Estonia are dead last in the group, but despite being fifth out of five and only got one draw out of 8 games, Estonia is able to get a chance at the playoffs thanks to their top spot in League D in the last Nations League season. So maybe they will be able to qualify with only 2 wins out of 10 qualifying games if that happens.
It could. I don't think it will, but it definitely could.
Yeah, I don't think they will either, but just imagine the scenario. The scenario. You really lost every game, and yet thanks to the playoff system, you just have to win 2 games that have nothing alike, and you are in the Euro just for winning 2 knockout games and failing everything else. All the drama that will
That's
make.
yeah. All right, I guess it's time for Group G. Um, Hungary and Serbia automatically qualified. Woo! Montenegro did pretty well. I think the biggest shock here is Bulgaria getting last. I wouldn't have expected them to be worse than Lithuania. I could see Montenegro like being equal with Montenegro, but seeing them last kind of shocks me. But congrats to Hungary and Serbia for making the Euros. And this is the only group where there won't be anybody competing in the Nations League playoffs from this group.
True. Just one word for Bulgaria. I'm not very shocked about them because the Bulgarian football stage right now is so bad that they can do anything. No matter if it's the clubs or the national team, they have nearly no hope there. like they can't produce anything. The few football clubs that are professional, they do not get any attention. So it's like nobody cares anymore about the professional state of the sport in Bulgaria. So of course, when that happen,
Right,
of
but
course you have poor results.
it's similar with Lithuania though. Like a lot of people in Lithuania care more about basketball than they do about football.
Yeah, you are right about that as well.
And
And
Lithuania is a smaller country population-wise, I believe.
well, Croatia proved to us that the population does not matter anymore. So 4 million people and they made the World Cup final 5 years ago. Deal with it. One last thing we can say about Group G is that Serbia qualified for the first time ever in the Euro as Serbia because they made it in the past as Yugoslavia, but yeah,
And Serbia, Montenegro. Gotcha.
Serbia and Montenegro haven't played the Euro, I do believe. But
Oh, okay.
even if that's true, Serbia will participate for the first time as Serbia because even so the an heritage of the last two iterations results, it will be the first time in the current state. So it's not a new country, but technically it is. In Group
It's
A,
an old nation with a new name.
yeah, basically. In Group H, which is the first group with 10 teams, well, Denmark, despite their bad campaign in World Cup recently, got managed to qualify first of the group. Even so, at one point they were struggling a lot to be at the top, and they will be with Slovenia. So I'm very happy to see the Slovenians once again in the Euro. Finland and Kazakhstan that did a very good campaign. It gave a hard time for Denmark and Slovenia. Sadly fell out in the last match days. And at least they got a second chance to make it to the final tournament thanks to the Nations League. So maybe one of those two promising nations will make it to the Euro this time, especially Kazakhstan that never qualified at all. Northern Ireland and San Marino weren't expected to do good at all, and so they did. Northern Ireland only got 3 wins out of 10 games, and San Marino at least got an impressive record of scoring 3 goals in 3 games in a row. And that
And one of
is
them was away.
unprecedented. What did you
Yeah,
say?
one of them was away, and the fact that they almost drew with Denmark.
Yeah, also that.
Like their first points could have been against the team that in that case would have gotten second in the group, but end up getting first on a what was it, a 93rd minute winner or something like that. It was a really late goal.
Yeah, yeah. That match just showcased to us that Denmark are still in that loop of being in a bad shape, in a bad era, struggling a lot. So, yeah. But at least San Marino also showed progress by scoring in 3 games in a row. So maybe one day they will finally be able to grasp some points in qualifiers. Oh man, I will
Well,
try.
the next chance they've got is in the World Cup qualifiers. In I don't know if they start next month. I think they start next year sometime.
Oh, for the World Cup,
Like
you mean?
yeah, the European World Cup qualifiers. Don't they start in
They
like
will
March?
start in yeah, they will start in March.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm not sure, but after the Euro, not before. So in
All
March
right.
2025, I do believe.
Oh, because okay, they're going to be doing the Euros first. Gotcha.
Yeah, and there will be some but I mean the Nations League playoffs will happen in March, so yeah, we can't
Right.
start the World Cup qualifiers that early. Let's finish with Group A and G before moving to the second continent, shall we?
Okay. Romania and Switzerland qualify directly. Romania topping the group. Uh, pretty easily it looks like by 5 points. Israel still has a chance via the Nations League playoffs, and Belarus, Kosovo, and Andorra. Um, not much to say there. Belarus and Kosovo, they're pretty even. Andorra is just kind of hanging out. like all the uh League D from Nations League kind of do. Sit at the bottom and just hope for goals.
Yeah, what I want to say is that despite qualifying, Switzerland is probably the biggest upset there because they got so many games they were supposed to win, and the fact that they tied five of them is such a problem. I mean, first of all, they would have gotten the better of Romania, but Romania was on their golden campaign, I guess, and being and losing to them 1-0 away and drawing 2-2 at home is already a shame, but getting ties against Belarus and Kosovo as well twice is also a problem. Switzerland
Yeah.
campaign overall was a failure and it cast a very bad energy ahead of the Euro.
It's nice to see Romania back in it, though. They've always been a kind of a good team. They kind of fallen off a little bit in recent years, but they've always been like near the top.
Oh yeah, Romania was a strong team in the 90s. They made the World Cup quarterfinals during that era and they were a consistent team in the Euro as well.
Mhm.
In Group J, to conclude Europe groups, which is the only group with three teams in the playoffs. First of
Mhm.
all, Portugal is the only country that did a Grand Chelem by winning all 10 games in their campaign, which is very impressive for them. So congratulations, Portugal, you did well, and you deserve the top spot in Pot A. After Germany, of course, because they are the home country. And so after them, we have Slovakia, which was, I mean, the second favorite. So for now, the theory was respected. But what was very interesting is Luxembourg. Luxembourg having the best campaign ever, all tournaments taken into account. That it's insane that such a country, despite taking a 9-0 against Portugal and another 6-0 at home against the same Portugal, was able to get one win out of two games in such a group. That they were able to best Iceland, Bosnia and Herzegovina, who are countries that are historically bigger and have better football teams than them. And that is probably the point in history that have shown to us that Luxembourg's project to professionalize the sport in the country is finally giving results. And I'm all for it.
I don't have much to add to that.
Yeah, let's just mention the 12 countries that will compete for the last three spots in the Euro. In Path A, we have Poland, Wales, Finland, and Estonia in Path A. So four teams for one spot in the Euro. In Path B, we have Israel, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Ukraine, and Iceland, all fighting for the second spot. And in Path C, we have Georgia, Greece, Kazakhstan, and Luxembourg. For me, PFC is the most interesting one because we have Greece coming back little by little, but you also have promising nations, Georgia, Kazakhstan, and Luxembourg. You want the four of them to make it.
Mhm.
If
Yeah, I think is Greece the only one of Path C that's actually made a Euros?
yes, Greece is also one of the 10 countries that have ever won the Euros.
Yeah, I knew that. That part I did know, but they're also the only country. Okay. Um, do you want to make predictions for the paths?
Oh, I will do. I think that Wales I don't know for Path B. I will say either Israel or Ukraine. For Path B, I'm not sure which one out of the two. And Greece will make to the Euro.
Okay. I'm gonna go with Poland. I'll go with ooh, Ukraine, and I'm gonna go with Kazakhstan.
Yeah, Kazakhstan is a good shot. I mean Path C. I will. You put me anything in Path C, I'm happy with the results. To be fair.
I would like to see a new country, a new nation join the Euros this year, whether it be from Path C or not.
If you want a new nation, you have Estonia in Path A, in Path B you have Israel and Bosnia and Herzegovina, and Path C basically everyone except Greece. So you have high
Yep.
chances to see a new country.
Yeah, there's a really good shot of it as far as Path C goes. If Kazakhstan does beat Greece, then we will have a new team for sure. It's just a matter of will
Yeah,
Greece be able to win the two games?
I do agree. It's a matter
I
of time.
think I will say I think the winner of the Greece Kazakhstan game will make it to the Euros.
Yeah. So now that we have talked about Euro, we have to move to AFC with the Asian qualifiers. So just so you know, Asia already started some time ago, a few months back, with the first round, which was basically a playoff stage involving the lowest ranked nation with an home and away matches. So, do you want to do a quick resume before we move on to second round?
Um, we can do that, I guess. So there wasn't really any shocks in the first round except for one game. We'll get to that in just a moment here. Afghanistan beating Mongolia 2-0. That's not surprising. Um, I don't think there's any players on Afghanistan that are actually from Afghanistan right now. I think they're all from outside of like they live outside the country,
I
if I'm not
also
mistaken.
believe that Afghanistan wins are also their first win in their history as well in qualifiers.
I don't remember that for Afghanistan. I know there was another country later that was true.
Or maybe it's Pakistan then.
Anyways, Bangladesh beating Maldives. That one was going to be close just because they're basically bordering nations. They're not quite bordering, but they're in the same sub confederation too. The South Asian Confederation, something like that.
Yeah, I
Um,
do believe it's named like that.
Singapore beating Guam, no surprise. Yemen beating Sri Lanka, no surprise. Myanmar beating Macau, no surprise. Pakistan getting their first ever win in the World Cup qualifiers over Cambodia. And I think it was a last minute goal as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm, I think yes, it's end of the game goal, so it's making it very more epic.
And well, congrats to them on their first win, and we'll see how well they do in the second round. We'll get to that in just a moment. Chinese Taipei beating Timor Leste. Indonesia just crushing Brunei. Brunei had no chance in that one. I think Indonesia was the number one, like the top seed of all the 20 that played in the first round.
Let me check. Actually, they were the second seed behind Hong Kong,
Oh, okay.
but still one of the teams you wanted to avoid in the first round.
Yeah. Hong Kong beat Bhutan, and then Nepal beating Laos. Not much. Like I said, there wasn't really much of a surprise. It was just Pakistan beating Cambodia. That was the big shock.
Yeah. So let's still give a quick resume for those that do not follow the Asian qualifiers. Basically, since Asia got more spots than usual due to the expansion, they changed the format a little. And basically, this time, the something like 40 countries remaining are divided in multiple groups of 4 teams, and they play home and away like in the Champions League. And the top 2 countries from each group qualifies for the third round of World Cup qualification, but also in the Asian Cup in the same time. Because in Asia, there is this things where the 2 first rounds of qualification works for both the World Cup and the Asian Cup. And when you are eliminated from the World Cup, you still have a second chance for Asian Cup qualification. So it's like the same qualification that divides into two with like an upper and lower bracket of some extent. So I propose Sam that since we don't have much to say with on those few games for now, we should we do some predictions instead, you know?
Um, we could. Did you want to start with Group A?
of course. So in Group A, I will put my first ticket on Qatar because despite their World Cup failure at home, I'll say that they are still one of the best sides in the entire continent, easily top 10. So being put in such a group, I totally see them my favorites, hence their 8-1 win against Afghanistan at home some weeks ago. For me, the second spot should go to India. Even so, Kuwait have a correct shot at qualification.
I'm gonna go with Qatar and Kuwait. I don't really agree that Qatar is one of the best teams in the Confederation, but they're definitely one of the better teams in the Middle East, and they've always shown that they're at least somewhat decent at football. But they're nothing like Iran, who's also in the Middle East, I know, but they're nothing like Iran or Japan or South Korea, at least not yet.
Yeah, I mean,
But
don't
yeah,
forget that they won the Asian Cup in 2019.
yes, but that was 2019. That was 5 years ago
They still got
or
some of
four
the
years ago.
players at the time. But yeah, basically we have similar predictions for now. In Group B, I'm more to follow Japan and Syria. Even so, it would be funny to see North Korea doing some wonders in qualifiers again. I feel like that they will lose short to Syria.
I agree. I'm going to go with Japan first, Syria second, though North Korea I could see stealing that spot from Syria.
Yeah, so basically one leader and two outsiders in every group. I think it will be something like that for every group in Asia. In Group C, oh, okay, this group is actually very interesting for me. Like, say, for serious. The favorites, I think we will agree that it will be South Korea as favorites of
Hmm.
Group C,
Hmm.
being one of the best teams historically of Asia. But I totally see a very big rivalry for the second spot between China and Thailand. But
Hmm.
I'll say that China is significantly better than Thailand in recent years. So I will put that second spot to China and Thailand third. I'm sad that Singapore is in such a group because they have no hopes to advancing with those teams in here.
Yeah, South Korea first, like you mentioned. I think I'm going to go Thailand second, just to have the upset. Um, it will be between Thailand and China though, for sure.
Yeah, so once again, one favorite, two outsiders. Oh, Group D is more open. Group D is more open. To be fair with you, I see Oman taking the lead in the group at the end of the day, and Kyrgyzstan to take the second place. But like, take the spot out of Malaysia on something like goal difference. Like, I totally see this group to be quite competitive outside of Taiwan.
Okay, I'm going to go with Oman first and Malaysia second.
That's interesting. Do you have a reason or you do it on feelings?
Um, Oman has always been a better team than Malaysia as far as international football is concerned. They've Malaysia's always had a little bit of trouble with in the Southeast Asian Confederation, with the likes of Thailand and Indonesia having to be behind them all the time. So they have some decent footballers as well because of that. That's why I think they're going to be ahead of Kyrgyzstan. I do think Oman is better overall.
Hmm, yeah, I agree with you. Okay, Group E. I think it will be a quick shot. Iran first, Uzbekistan second. Case closed.
That's what I see.
Yeah, so you know what? Let's go a little further. Turkmenistan third and Hong Kong fourth.
I'm gonna go with Hong Kong third and
Oh,
Turkmenistan fourth.
Turkmenistan got a little better in recent years, so
But so has Hong Kong.
okay, no, yeah. You have a point. You have a point. You're right. Yeah, you're right.
Didn't
Uh,
Hong Kong like almost draw with China not that long ago?
it was versus China.
I
I
think it was against China.
You know what? I'm going on the Wikipedia page just to be sure because normally you have the. Oh, it was Turkmenistan and they got a tie against Cambodia and Singapore this year. But recently their draw was against Turkmenistan in this World Cup
What
qualifying group.
about in the West Asian or not, the East Asian Cup?
Maybe it is mentioned, but I don't know.
Yeah, because that would have been last year.
Maybe this one. No, but they only lost 1-0, which is quite a respectable
Yeah,
result.
I didn't. I wasn't sure if they had drawn or I knew they lost by one goal or at least drawn. So
No, actually, you were quite close. They actually get better. You are right. In Group F, we have. Oh, this one is very interesting as well. I think this group will be competitive, but I see Iraq first and Vietnam second.
I have Vietnam first, and I want to say Iraq, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, this group will be tough for me.
Um, yeah, I'm gonna go with Iraq second and Vietnam first. I think Vietnam, just a bit of a surprise pick is all. Indonesia definitely can make it. I don't think the Philippines have much of a chance against the other three teams here.
Yeah, no, I still feel that the group will be quite open, but overall we got the same favorites, even so not on the same position, because at least it's not a big problem since you just have to be in top two to qualify anyway, so it's not a big deal. Oh, Group G, where we find our friend Pakistan that just got their first qualifying win ever. So will they be able to get one in the last four games? We'll see soon. My favorite, of course, is Saudi Arabia that still participates despite being the next Asian Cup host. Because, as I said, this round is shared between the Asian Cup and World Cup qualifiers. So that makes any host still forced to participate, which is a funny case in international football. My second pick would go to Jordan.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with you there. It's gonna be Saudi Arabia first and Jordan second.
Yeah, even so, Tajikistan is upgrading a little their game. I don't see them going further in the competition. And Pakistan, it was already a good performance for them to just pass the first round.
Mhm.
Do you want to do Group H first?
I can do Group H and Group I first.
Oh, yeah,
Um,
you can.
I'm gonna go with the UAE is gonna be first, and Bahrain is gonna be second.
Uh,
Although Yemen has a really good chance of making it too.
yeah, Yemen and Bahrain are probably toe to toe to qualify. I will say UAE and Yemen to qualify, but very close, like very close.
And then the final group, Australia first, and I I'm gonna go with Lebanon. I really want to say Palestine, but I'm gonna say Lebanon second.
Well, as I said in my French video about Asia second round, is that Lebanon and Palestine are will be no, I mean they are already about those countries that will not play the home games at home. I think both countries will play something like Iraq or Syria for the home games. So both countries are penalized in these campaigns. So I see both of them on the same stair, on the same feet about qualification. So, but I still have a little favor for Lebanon as second place. But like Bahrain Yemen, I think it will be a short qualification. But I totally see Australia rolling over and going with 6 wins in 6 games.
Yeah, I
And
don't know who has actually has the most travel. because Australia's in a group with a lot of with the two Middle Eastern countries, and then the Southeast Asia or South Asian country
I do
with
believe it's
Bangladesh. But
Group
then,
I. I do believe it's Group I because you have the most extremes of AFC, the West and the East.
right, but then you've also got Iraq who has to travel to Vietnam, Philippines, and Indonesia.
Yeah, but Iraq and Indonesia are closer than Australia to Lebanon.
Yeah, but Australia, Bangladesh is closer than Iraq, Vietnam.
Yeah, but you ask me who have the longest travel to do, and that's Australia and
Like,
Lebanon.
well, I meant overall for all the like
Oh,
for
oh,
all the game,
okay.
not just one game.
I think that's a question for another time because we have to take many things into account.
Yeah,
So that makes us going to the third continent, which is Africa, and I would like to make the resume of the format, if you allow me.
go ahead.
Okay, so Africa, like Asia, got many more spots due to the expansion of the next World Cup, going from 5 spots to 9 and possibly 10, since they have 1 spot for the international playoffs. So basically, now that Egypt have a very decent amount of spots for the World Cup, they decided to use the European format. So basically, everyone is drawn into groups of 6, sometimes 5, and this group is the only round for World Cup qualification, which is still 10 games to play over around 2 years. So at the end, the top team in each group qualifies directly for the World Cup, while the second place are have the results compared to the other runners-up, and the few best ones will have a chance to participate in the African playoffs for the possible last ticket for the World Cup. And this format will be interesting to follow because it follows the exact same guidelines as Europe. So you have one shot to qualify, and we can, thanks to that, do qualification. I mean prediction of the qualification already. If Sam, you do agree to do that again,
Sure. You want me to start then?
as you want.
Um. uh, okay. I think Egypt's gonna win that group. Um. It's gonna be tough between Burkina Faso and Guinea-Bissau for that playoff stage.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go with Guinea-Bissau.
Yes. So okay. So Guinea-Bissau as runners-up. On my end, I also see Egypt as a big favorites to take the spot for the World Cup, but Burkina Faso as the runners-up and possible knockout participation. For Group B, I think we will agree that Senegal is even more of a favorite to top the group with a nearly perfect score, and the second place should go to the Air Congo on my end.
I'm gonna say the same. However, them losing to Sudan 1-0 does not look good for them. So I might, even though I agree with you, I think Togo could potentially take that second spot instead.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, those qualifiers are always interesting. Africa, very deep, very
It's
deep
very
national
competitive.
teams,
Yeah.
very competitive. So that's why I'm happy that they finally are able to use the European format. So it will be easier to compare Europe and Africa on the long term, since we will have similar competitions. Do you want to do Group C?
I guess I could. I'm gonna say Nigeria and South Africa
Oh,
in that
Nigeria
order.
first. I see.
Hmm.
Well, to be fair, I would like to do this. No, I will do the same. I will do Nigeria first and South Africa as runners up.
I will say
Um,
Nigeria has fallen off a little bit though, so they just happen to be in a bit of an easier group than others.
Yeah, I do agree that they lost a little, but I still see them as one of the strongest sides in Africa. You should not underestimate them just because they missed the World Cup, and they missed by very short, to be fair with you. In Group D, I think Cameroon, that is becoming better and better in the last years, will top the group and got a second qualification in a row in the World Cup, and they should be followed by Cape Verde. Despite their size,
Um,
they are always a consistent team in qualifiers.
yeah, I'm going to agree with you. Cameroon first, excuse me, and Cabo Verde in second.
Yeah, I think the biggest prediction we could do is who are the runners-up that will be able to go to the knockouts, but that will be a video for later because there are too many variables to take into account.
Oh, for sure. Group E. Morocco's gonna top the group, and I'm gonna have Zambia second, though Tanzania might steal that spot.
Yeah, I still follow you on that one. Morocco as the clear favorites, they are very lucky to get such a group. I mean, it seems quite easy for them, even so. We should not underestimate your opponents at all. And I still give the ticket to Zambia. Niger and Tanzania and Congo are all capable to give it a shot for the runners-up place. We just have to see how it will turn out in the upcoming month. I also want to mention that Group A will be the only group with 5 teams, as Eritrea withdrawn before the qualification even started because the government is afraid that some of the players might take the away games as an opportunity to flee the country.
Yeah,
Yeah, because Eritrea is a dictatorship. If some of you viewers are not aware of the situation.
it's similar to North Korea in that sense.
Yes, the North Korea of Africa, and that nearly no one talks about.
Uh, I think you can start with Group F.
I will do. I mean, Ivory Coast are the favorites, so it's obvious that I will put them first, and I would like to see them back in the World Cup. They are a very good team historically. I mean, in the recent years, like starting 2006, I do believe. For the second place, Gabon and Kenya are good shots. I will put my ticket on Kenya, so like a little surprise if you ask me.
I'm gonna go with the Ivory Coast and Gabon. However, I think the Gambia has a really good shot as well.
I will say yes, like 2, 3 years back, because
Well,
I know they made the quarterfinals of the African Cup of Nations, but like Madagascar, I think like it's a one-time wonder.
yeah, it's gonna be tough between Kenya, Gabon, and Gambia. That's all I'm gonna say. But I do have Gabon making it to the playoff stage.
I mean, like I said, we will see in time. I mean, maybe you're right. Maybe Gambia can still give it a shot. Who knows? World Cup qualifiers always gives you a boost somehow.
All right, and that brings us to Group G. I'm gonna go with Algeria, and I'm gonna go with Guinea. Was it Guinea that
Mm,
was? Was it? No, it was Mali. I'm thinking of. I'm gonna go with Algeria and Botswana.
to be fair with you, I think Group G is very interesting because nearly no one made it to the World Cup, but I see many teams that have some potential, to do stuff and go far. I still put Algeria first. I mean, clear favorites. To be fair, I think it's very hard. I will put my ticket on either Guinea or Uganda. I feel like Guinea will. I don't know. It will be either Guinea or Uganda. One of those two. I can't decide. I'm sorry. I can't decide on that one. I'm not sure. Very not sure. Very not sure. I feel like Uganda, so maybe Uganda.
You gonna go with Uganda then?
Yes, I think so.
All right. Why don't you go ahead and start with Group H?
Well, Group H have a clear Tunisia as first, there is no problem here, and I will put Namibia second. I know they haven't started, haven't got the great test start, and they even lost to Equatorial Guinea, but I think Namibia will manage to pull it through somehow.
I'm gonna go with Tunisia first and Equatorial Guinea second.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it is either Namibia or Equatorial Guinea as second place, so it's a fair prediction. Okay, Group I.
I'm gonna go with um. Well, I would say that I would have gone with Ghana first and Mali second, just because Ghana is such a powerhouse team. But with their loss to Comoros, I'm gonna go with Mali first and Ghana second.
I just noticed right now that Comoros are first in Group I.
They have won both of their games.
Yes, that's what I can see on screen, and even though I followed the qualifiers last break, I just forgot that Comoros are first in their group. Wow, what a great start! I still put Ghana first and no, Mali first. Mali for their first World Cup ever, and Ghana second. Mali is right now one of the strongest countries in the youth squads. And I do believe that their youth squads were already good a few years back. So for me, it makes sense that most of those players are now playing with the main team and thus improving it. And since
Would
they,
you
yes,
go ahead? Go ahead.
and since Mali was close to qualify 4 years back, for me it makes sense that now they have the squad to actually making it for the tournament.
I was gonna ask you, do you think Mali is the best team in Africa right now to not have made a World Cup?
Yes, I do believe so.
I would say the same. I think Cape Verde's getting up there though, but Mali's for sure the best of the ones that have not made a World Cup.
I will be honest
You
with
could
you, I feel
you could
Mali,
also you could also argue that the DRC has not made a World Cup either,
they,
even though
they
they
actually made
technically
it.
have.
They made it when they were not named as Zaire.
They were named as Zaire, and they were not their. They weren't an independent country at that time, were they?
They were an independent country.
Okay,
African country joined FIFA when they reached independence. They weren't able to participate because as colonies they were considered as part of the mainland. So, for example, Eusebio, which was one of the most iconic World Cup players for Portugal, was actually from, I think, Mozambique. But since Mozambique was a colony, is officially a Portuguese player.
gotcha.
But I want just to say that I feel deep inside of me that Mali might become one of the strongest nations in Africa in the upcoming years, like semi-finals of African Cup of Nations or one of the best sides of Africa in the World Cup. Maybe a bit too much from me, but I feel that Mali is, they are progressing over time.
I would hope for the same, though. I do want to remind you of how Zambia winning the Cup of Nations all those years ago, and then never making a World Cup.
Oh yeah, you are right. But yeah,
So
Zambia
I'm
was a
just
one-time wonder.
yeah. So I'm just concerned that Mali's going to be kind of the same. I don't want it to be.
It's true that now you think about it, a few years back, people were hyping on Iceland, and after one Euro and one World Cup, they are nowhere to be seen anymore. So I get your fear. I get your fear. Well, we'll see over time, but I still believe that in the current days, Mali are able to grasp a direct ticket for the World Cup and get their first World Cup ever. Just a mention for the format. Earlier, I said that only a few of the runners-up will go to the playoffs, and the number of runners-up able to qualify will be four. 4 out of 9 only will have a chance to go to the playoff stage. So the Africans that wants to play there will need to get a lot of points if they if they want at least a second chance for qualification. That's all for me. Should we
And then
move to
I was
Americas?
gonna say there's the quick note right above it too that neither confederation has made any announcement about the withdrawal of Eritrea and how that's going to affect the table.
Oh, yes,
Seeing
you're
that
right.
there's 5 teams in that one instead of 6, like all the others.
I think it's not confirmed yet, but I think it will be obviously that games against teams ranked 6 will not count in the comparison.
Yeah, that sounds like the most obvious, but we know sometimes they don't always choose the most obvious.
Or they can do an average of points, like number of points divided by the number of games. It's also possible. But I'm still thinking of the first one. Okay, so let's talk a little about the current state of the South American qualifiers. And it's quite interesting, if I can say the least. Do you,
Yeah,
who you want to start?
um
Okay, you need my
I'm
help.
not sure what's more shocking. Oh, come on.
Let me decide for you. Let's talk about Brazil being 6.
Well, I don't know if Brazil being sixth and still making the World Cup is more shocking than Peru only having 2 points in 6 matches and 1 goal.
And also the fact that I think they lost their 2 games during this last international break. Or was
Yeah,
it the
they
last three
they
games?
drew 0-0 against Paraguay and they drew 1-1 against Venezuela. Those are Peru's only points right now.
Let me
Also,
check.
Venezuela currently making the World Cup for the first time ever
I
as of right now.
I mean, it's a good start for them. You know what? The worst part is that Brazil started with a 5-1 win at home against Bolivia, and yet they are in the second half of the table right now, at a third
Hmm.
through the league. I still call that a league. For me, it's like a championship. We should give an award for the team winning it each time. But yeah, Brazil being 6 and but Venezuela being third is actually quite a very interesting and very shocking start of qualifiers in South America. And thanks to the expansion, Venezuela are actually in a good shot to qualify for the first time ever, making CONMEBOL the first continent where every country would have played at least once in the World Cup.
With their fourth place, they would have made a playoff spot for the last one, right?
No, no, before that it was top 4 qualifies directly, so even in the old format, Venezuela would qualify right now, and the 5th place was a playoff. So even in the old format, Venezuela would qualify. That just to give you an idea on how good they are performing right now.
Yeah. And the fact that Ecuador is fifth, despite having a 3-point deduction before the qualifiers even started.
And yes, despite that, they are still in position to qualify. I was afraid at first that Ecuador would miss just because of that, but it seems that it's not an issue for them. So it's good. It's good because they are really interesting in those years.
Yeah, but I'm really shocked about Peru. I'm really sad about Peru because they're the country that I follow the most as far as CONMEBOL.
Yeah, that's
They're,
that's
they're
true.
my CONMEBOL team.
Ju-
So
just to give you an idea of how bad the situation is in Brazil, they lost their first World Cup qualifying home game in their history to Argentina in the derby.
yeah, yeah.
So for all these years, they were unbeaten at home for World Cup qualifiers, and they just lost that little statistic that makes them better. It's a part of history that we lost today, thanks to
Isn't
Argentina.
isn't Norway the only team Brazil has ever played that they have not won? I think,
Yes, I do believe you're right.
which is hilarious considering that Norway didn't even make the Euros.
Well, that's some stats you are proud of, to be fair. I mean, there are many stats funny. Like for example, France have a perfect record against Algeria that isn't even legal because we haven't finished a single match against Algeria despite winning them. So officially, I think we have won without winning against Algeria in our historical record. because we can't finish a game with Algeria.
Wait till
Yes.
you get drawn with them in the World Cup, right?
Uh, what?
Then wait till you get drawn against them in the World Cup.
The day France and Algeria are drawn together, it will be worse than USA and North Korea. Okay, maybe not USA North Korea, but at least USA Iran.
Which already happened.
Yes. So yeah, just take that, but maybe the step further. Because the only time we played each other, the stadium was raided, and the game was stopped at like the 71st minute.
All right. Well, anyways, is that all for CONMEBOL
I want to add
qualifiers?
one point just to give you how funny this campaign is. Chile should be way higher considering their deep squad, and yet they are 8th place. Which gives you an idea of why the South American qualifiers is the most difficult ones, but also that many good teams like Chile and Brazil are in very, very bad shape right now. And also
Mhm.
Peru Rust.
All right, and then that should bring us to the Copa America.
Yes, because the Copa America will come this summer with, I mean, of course, the 10 countries of CONMEBOL will participate. And there is 6 more spots to be given, and those spots will be given through the CONCACAF Nations League, the final part of our video today. And the format is, I don't like it very much, so I will let you explain it to us.
The CONCACAF ones?
Yes, the CONCACAF Nations League, please.
Okay. Uh, I was surprised because they're already done, but okay. Group or League C was pretty self-explanatory, as is League B. You play everybody in your team twice, one home, one away. In League C, if you won your group, you got automatic promotion. If you got second place in your group, then you had to have the most points between the three groups to be able to also be promoted to League B.
Okay, so give us a resume on who qualified then, please.
Saint Martin, the French Saint Martin, Aruba, and Dominica all qualified directly to League B, and then Bonaire qualified being the best second place team in the groups.
Okay, so next season they will compete in the second division, which is League B. And
In fact, all of the Dutch Caribbean teams are all playing in League B next season.
that is actually a very interesting stat.
Aruba, Bonaire, Curacao, and Saint Martin.
Yeah, because some of them got relegated from League A, right?
Right, right. Curacao, I believe. Anyways, with League B, same thing, except there's 4 teams in each group. If you topped your group, you get promoted to League A. If you got last in your group, you got relegated to League C. So the ones that got relegated, St. Kitts and Nevis, which is a bit of a shock, since they made the Gold Cup, the last Gold Cup. Barbados got relegated, Belize got relegated, and the Bahamas got relegated. It looks like, or they could be relegated.
No, no,
There
they are
was,
relegated.
well, not yet, because
Oh, yes,
they have one more game.
I just noticed one game was cancelled for now.
Yes, there was a game that was supposed to be played, and then there was a storm that came through, so they delayed it for the next morning, and then I think the pitch was flooded, so they couldn't play it, so they have to replay it at some point. It's between the Bahamas and Guyana.
Yeah, so
Guyana
Bahamas
has
have to
already been
win if they want to remain in League B then.
right. So Guyana has already been promoted to League A. It's just a matter of if the Bahamas win, are they going to have a better goal differential than Antigua and Barbuda, and who would be relegated between those two?
I mean, if they win, they have at least the same goal average.
Right. Well, it depends on how much they win by.
Yeah, so but if they only won by one goal, like 1-0, I think they go down because they will have less goals. It will start to matter if they scored at
Right.
least like 2-1, you know.
Right.
Who are the other? Okay, so the other promoted are the French department
Yep.
of Guadeloupe and French Guiana and the country of Nicaragua. Oh, new
Correct.
logo, nice.
Yep. So you're gonna have a lot of the French teams playing in League A, with the exception of
Saint
Saint
Martin.
Martin being in League B because they got promoted from League C.
That
And
actually
then
is
we've got League
interesting.
A. Ugh.
The shit show.
League A is such a headache for me. I do not like the format at all. I
Th-
want
th-
them to return it. It's awful.
that's why I wanted you to explain it instead of me, so I'm not the one having the ADH.
So in League A, you have two groups of 16, and you play four of those teams. You got two home games, two away games. You don't even play every team in your group.
Just like the MLS.
That's a little different because of conferences.
Yes, but that's basically the same. You have conferences and you don't play everyone in the league.
That's like it's like saying, like, if you were to play in the Premier League and you only played one game against every team, and it was basically a draw to see who would you play away and who would you play home,
Yes, that's
and then
basically the League of Argentina.
yeah, just like if Man City only played Man United once, and it was a matter of which one was the home team for the entire season.
Yeah, trash format, if you ask me.
It's really trash. Anyways, the top two advance to the quarterfinals in each group, and the bottom two get relegated to League B. So we have Curacao and El Salvador that got relegated from Group A, and we've got Haiti and Grenada that got relegated from Group B. And the teams that qualified for the knockouts are Panama and Trinidad and Tobago from Group A, and then Jamaica and Honduras from Group B. And they get to play the four teams that didn't have to play in any of the leagues because of the top four sides in CONCACAF. That would be the United States, Mexico, Canada, and Costa Rica.
I just want to say one thing. IT relegated is a shocker for me.
Uh,
I mean, they are one of the best sides in the Gold Cup and they got relegated, bro.
they drew with Suriname.
Oh
Let's see,
yeah.
and then they lost to Jamaica once and drew with Jamaica once, and then they drew with Cuba 0-0.
I didn't expect Suriname to be that good, so yeah. Suriname is quite the surprise and IT is the shocker. Is the upset, you know.
I
So
don't.
yeah.
I could see it. Like Cuba, I think would have been relegated instead of Haiti, but with their draw with Haiti, I think that's what kept them up.
Yeah. No win for IT. Ah, I'm angry. Anyways, so as you said, the top four teams got a direct shot at the playoffs with the quarterfinals, so they are just there for being the best in the coefficient, and they are joined by the group winners and runners up. And so the matchups are decided based on the rankings, right?
The, I believe so. Um, the Panama had the best number of points and the best goal differential over Jamaica, so they got to play the fourth place ranked team, or the fourth ranked team of Costa Rica, and then you work your way down. So Jamaica played Canada, Trinidad and Tobago played the U.S., and Honduras played Mexico. And those were two-legged ties, one home game for each country.
And thus, the winners of those quarterfinals not only qualifies for the Nations League finals that will keep the same format with all four countries playing in the same country, which will be USA, let's not lie. It will be USA like each time. But also, the final four will all qualify directly for the Copa America next summer because as a partnership, it will be hosted again in the United States. So the six non-CONMEBOL spots will be given to the top six nations on CONCACAF. So Panama, Jamaica, United States, and Mexico got all a ticket for the Copa America. The last two
Uh,
being given to play-ins, I do believe.
yes. And then I don't remember. Oh, I don't remember who plays who as far as the losers to make it for the Copa America. I will say the big shock of the quarterfinal final round was Honduras beating Mexico 2-0 in Honduras, and then Mexico coming back and having to win in extra time, or
Th-
not even in extra time in penalties. Excuse me,
that was
to
your
make it to the
upset?
next round.
That was your upset? For me, that's not the worst.
The fact that Mexico had to come back to go 2-0 and they didn't score the second goal until, let's see, where does it say? They had to take 11 minutes of stoppage time to score their second goal to make it.
Yeah, but since I'm following the CONCACAF Nations League or soon the CONCACAF Champions Cup, I'm just used to Central American teams winning the first leg and getting comeback in the second leg. So it's still an upset in itself, but I'm not
Well,
surprised because I'm used to Mexico just doing comebacks on Central Americans.
yes, but 11 minutes into stoppage time against the team that could not win a game in the octagonal in the last World Cup qualifiers.
Yeah, but you have the I mean, it still brings me to a similar problem. You have the team that topped the octagonal, and yet they managed to fail to qualify for the semifinals. Canada, how can you lose to Jamaica when you topped CONCACAF and made the World Cup?
Jamaica is a really defensive team, and they ended up having a better, yeah.
I mean, I know Jamaica is getting better and better every year, and I think in the few years, when most of the players will play in England or USA, they will be able to actually give a shot to USA and Mexico and Canada. But right now, I expected Canada to still be deeper on the squad and be more capable, especially when more of the players plays in Europe, in Germany, France, and so on. So for me, it is the biggest upset because it is actually one of the seeded teams that was knocked out in the quarterfinals. Because Mexico still made it through when you think about it.
Yeah. Anyway, so that brings us to the semifinals of this competition, which will be the United States against Jamaica and Panama against Mexico. And this is where it becomes an actual knockout and not just a two-legged tie.
Isn't Arlington in Texas? Yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
So yeah, as I said and I predicted, USA once again hosted.
Oh, there's no way that the United States is not going to host anything. There's too much money economically within the United States where even Mexico doesn't really want to do it. CONCACAF wouldn't want to even do it in Mexico uh because of finances.
Yeah. Do you think for once we will not see USA or Mexico winning the trophy?
2000 Gold Cup, Canada won it.
No, yeah, since that, it's like a big desert for everyone else.
Jamaica's been getting pretty close.
Yeah, but then they haven't won it. Even so, they made two finals of the Gold Cup. So, do you think that this year is maybe the first time in a long time that anything else than USA and Mexico could win a trophy?
No,
I wish Jamaica can make it through.
Jamaica will make it tough for the U.S., but with how Mexico played against Honduras and how badly Panama beat Costa Rica, Costa Rica only got one goal against them, and yet they were the higher seeded team.
Yeah, true.
So the both games are going to be tough, but I think the United States is going to win, and I think Mexico might win. But even if it was U.S. and Panama, I don't think Panama would be able to beat the U.S. Though I think Panama did beat the U.S. in the semifinals of the Gold Cup, this most recent one.
Yeah, so basically, if we at least get one of the big two getting knocked out in the semis, it will be enough. I mean, yeah, I'll take it, I guess.
But then Mexico won it, didn't they?
Yeah, so if USA or Mexico go out, the other will win automatically or something like that. Okay, so the last one thing we can talk about is the playoff matches in March to elect the last two countries that CONCACAF will send to the Copa America in USA.
Yeah.
So the losers of the quarterfinals. Epic times. What are your picks?
Um, as far as who's going to make it to the Copa America,
Yes, like we have two matches in March. We have Canada versus Trinidad and Tobago and Costa Rica versus Honduras. And the winners of two matches will make it to the Copa America this summer.
uh, what do what do I think? Um, I think it's going to be Costa Rica and Canada, though Trinidad and Tobago may surprise.
So can you said Canada and Costa Rica?
I did.
Okay. For me, I mean some month ago I would have said Canada and Costa Rica, but I think that right now I'll say I'll still say Canada, so I don't see them failing twice. But I see Honduras making it instead of Costa Rica. I think that the Costa Rica I used to see since my teen years, like when they started to get on the World Cup with Keylor Navas, quarterfinals, in Brazil, and getting a very decent side in the Gold Cup and in the Nations League overall. I think those years I faded, and Costa Rica is still this degrade, like they are going down a lot, and I still think that they are going deeper and deeper, and I don't know, I don't feel them anymore as a good football team for CONCACAF.
So here's a question for you then.
Yes.
Costa Rica, Trinidad and Tobago, and Honduras, all expected to at least make the final round of the CONCACAF World Cup qualifiers. Do you think all three of them will qualify directly, or do you think one of them is going to make the playoffs, or two of them, since there's going to be two teams from CONCACAF in the playoffs?
Oh, you're right, I totally forgot about the World Cup qualifiers in your continent. uh I'll say that
They don't
for
start for like another year or two, but
I'll say that for me, Jamaica and Panama will both take a ticket for the World Cup. For the
that would
last
leave.
one, I don't know, to be fair with you, as we speak. But on current form, I will say maybe Honduras.
Would you say that Trinidad and Tobago and Costa Rica would get the two intercontinental spots then?
Uh, in such a case, I will say Trinidad and Tobago with Salvador, not Costa
You
Rica.
really, you think Costa Rica's dropped off that much?
Yeah, I mean, I hope it isn't the case, but at this point, I don't have much expectation from them anymore. I just see that their team is going deeper and deeper, and they are kind of like Wales. They use too much old players, and their new players do not get enough time of play, and they are also not a generation that inspire confidence in the upcoming years.
I will remind you that Panama almost did not make the Gold Cup. They almost lost to, I believe it was Bermuda or Curacao, one of those two. It was Curacao.
Maybe I forgot. But to be fair, I'm just making wild guesses on their recent shape, because overall, I'm pretty sure I will not have the same debate and the same talks when we'll be there at the start of the qualifiers. When does it start again?
Let me look that up.
Because I think you have like 3 rounds for 2026.
The very first date, March of 2024 for the first round.
Okay, isn't that like the bottom four teams of CONCACAF
Yeah,
doing
it'd
playoffs?
be the two-legged ties between the bottom four, and then The second round starts in June of
Okay,
2024. Window
interesting.
1 is June of 2024, and then window 2 is June of 2025.
Okay, that's interesting. We will be there to talk about it. I think we have made all the topics for today, except if you want to add something.
Um, Not really, no, because the Copa America hasn't quite started yet. Um, we've already discussed which teams we think are gonna make it, other than the 10 that or the 14 that already have.
Hmm.
I think that's it.
Yeah. I mean, okay. So thank you everyone if you made it until now. So that means that you are very brave to watch 1 hour and 20 minutes of podcast. Next time we will see each other, it will probably be for either the next international window in March or maybe just after the Asian Cup and Africa Cup of Nations that will both place next January and February. So we will have two continental cups to talk about. And yeah, I think that will be the last video of the year. So I hope every one of you good. Okay, what do you say in English again? I have a little black hole in my brain right now.
Like a good night or something. Good day.
For the uh, end of the year celebrations like Christmas,
Oh, New
Happy New
Year's.
Year, yeah, Happy New Year's and everything.
Gotcha. Yep. Happy holidays.
Yeah, happy winter holidays, everyone. So see you next year with either the next part of the World Cup qualification or the African Cup of Nations and Asian Cup. I wish you to get well, and of course, as always, don't hesitate to come to the Discord server of Sam so we can talk together about international football.
And don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel.
Yes, also that as well. Thank you, Sam, for being with me once again. It's still a pleasure, and it will still be a pleasure to record those episodes between us.
Oh, always.
Well, you heard it. See you next time, boys. Stay well.